I found a positive pregnancy test in our bathroom trash. 2 pink lines, clear as day. My wife was pregnant. There was just one problem. I had a vasectomy 2 years ago, and that's when I realized the baby couldn't possibly be mine. My name is Chris, I'm 41 years old, and this is the story of how a piece of plastic in a trash can destroyed my 12-year marriage. My wife's name is Jennifer, and she's 37. We have 2 kids together, a son who's 10 and a daughter who's 8. After our daughter was born, we decided our family was complete. 2 kids was perfect for us, financially and emotionally. We discussed permanent birth control options. Jennifer didn't want to go through another surgical procedure after 2 C-sections, so I volunteered to get a vasectomy. It made sense. Simple procedure, quick recovery, no more worries about contraception. I got the vasectomy 2 years and 3 months ago. Followed all the post-op instructions, did the follow-up tests to confirm it worked. 0 sperm count. Doctor said I was officially sterile. That pregnancy was essentially impossible. Jennifer and I celebrated the freedom. No more pills or condoms or worry. Our intimate life actually improved without the pregnancy anxiety. Everything was good. Or so I thought. Last Saturday morning changed everything. I was cleaning the bathroom, one of my weekend chores, taking out the trash, wiping down counters, the usual routine. When I pulled the trash bag out, something caught my eye. A pregnancy test box, crumpled up, but visible. My heart skipped. I reached in, pulled it out. The box was empty. I dug deeper, found the actual test wrapped in toilet paper, 2 bright pink lines in the result window. Positive, unmistakably positive. I stood there holding that test, brain refusing to process what I was seeing. Jennifer was pregnant. But that was impossible. I was sterile. Had been for over 2 years. The follow-up tests confirmed it. Unless something had spontaneously reversed, which my doctor said happens in less than 1% of cases, there was no way I could have gotten her pregnant, which meant someone else did. The bathroom suddenly felt too small, walls closing in. I sat down on the edge of the bathtub, still holding the test, trying to breathe. Jennifer was downstairs making breakfast with the kids. I could hear them laughing, normal Saturday morning sounds. My daughter asking for chocolate chip pancakes. My son talking about his soccer game later. Everything sounded so ordinary, while I sat upstairs, holding proof that our entire life was a lie. I needed to think. Needed to be sure before I accused my wife of something this catastrophic. I put the test in my pocket, threw away the empty box, tried to compose myself. I went online, researched vasectomy reversals. The statistics were clear. Spontaneous recanalization, where the vas deferens somehow reconnects naturally, occurs in less than 1% of procedures. And even when it happens, it's usually within the first year. I was over 2 years post-op. The chances of spontaneous reversal this far out were essentially 0. I checked my medical records, found my last sperm count test from 18 months ago. 0 sperm. The vasectomy was working perfectly, which meant this pregnancy had one explanation, and it wasn't medical miracle. I went through Jennifer's phone that night while she was giving the kids their bath. Felt guilty doing it, but I needed to know. Scrolled through her texts, looking for anything suspicious. Found messages with someone named Paul. Casual at first, work-related stuff. Jennifer works as an office manager for a construction company. Paul was apparently a project manager there. The messages went back about 8 months. Gradually, they became more inside jokes, compliments, late-night conversations, then flirty, then explicit. I found messages from 2 months ago, Paul talking about how he couldn't stop thinking about her. Jennifer responding that she felt the same way. Making plans to meet during her lunch break. Hotel room reservations. Photos I wish I'd never seen. My wife with another man. In positions that made my stomach turn. Messages about how good it felt. How they couldn't get enough of each other. No mentions of protection. No conversations about birth control. Just reckless passion with no thought about consequences. I kept scrolling. Found a message from last week. Jennifer telling Paul she was late, that she'd taken a test, that it was positive. Paul's response was panic, asking if she was sure what she was going to do, whether she'd tell me. Jennifer said she didn't know, that she needed time to think. Paul said he couldn't be a father, that he wasn't ready for that responsibility. Jennifer said she understood, that she'd figure something out. The messages after that were sporadic, tense. Paul pulling away, Jennifer getting more desperate, asking him not to abandon her. I put her phone back exactly where I'd found it. Went to our bedroom, lay in the dark, trying to process everything. My wife was pregnant with another man's child. A man who was now ghosting her because he didn't want the responsibility. And she was going to what? Pass the baby off as mine? Hope I wouldn't notice that I'd somehow gotten her pregnant despite being sterile? Or was she planning to claim a miracle, a 1 in a million vasectomy reversal? Either way, she was preparing to lie to me, to raise another man's child under my roof, to destroy our family. I didn't sleep that night. Just lay there, listening to Jennifer breathe. This woman I'd spent 12 years with, built a life with, trusted completely. She'd thrown it all away for an affair with a coworker who didn't even want her, now that there were consequences. Part of me wanted to wake her up, confront her immediately. But another part needed to plan, needed to approach this carefully. This wasn't just about an affair anymore. This was about paternity, custody, divorce proceedings that would be complicated by a pregnancy. I needed a lawyer before I did anything. Sunday morning, I called my brother, told him everything. He was shocked, angry on my behalf, immediately offered to help however he could. He recommended a lawyer he knew who specialized in complex divorce cases. I called Monday morning from my car, explained the situation. The lawyer said this was straightforward legally. The vasectomy records proved I couldn't be the father. A paternity test after birth would confirm it. Jennifer would have minimal grounds to claim I was responsible for a child that wasn't biologically mine. He suggested I document everything, get copies of the pregnancy test, screenshot the text messages, prepare for an immediate divorce filing. That evening, I confronted Jennifer, waited until the kids were in bed, then asked her to come to the living room. She could tell something was wrong from my tone. I pulled out the pregnancy test, set it on the coffee table between us, asked her to explain, watched her face go pale. She tried to say she was going to tell me, that she'd just found out, that she was shocked too. I asked how it was possible given my vasectomy. She stumbled through an explanation about miracles, about medical anomalies, about love finding a way. I pulled out my phone, showed her the screenshots of her messages with Paul, watched her entire story collapse. She started crying, begging me to understand, saying it was a mistake, that Paul meant nothing. I asked if Paul knew he meant nothing. She said he'd reacted badly to the pregnancy news, that he wasn't who she thought he was, I asked if she'd planned to pass his baby off as mine. She said she didn't know what she was going to do, that she was confused and scared. I told her there was nothing to be confused about. I wanted a divorce. She begged me to reconsider, said we could work through this, that couples survived infidelity. I asked if couples survived wives getting pregnant by other men. She said she'd terminate the pregnancy, that we could move past this. I told her that was her choice to make, but either way our marriage was over. She'd destroyed any trust we had. She'd been willing to lie about paternity, to raise another man's child in our home, to make me responsible for the consequences of her affair. She asked what we'd tell the kids. I said we'd tell them the truth eventually, age appropriately. That sometimes people make mistakes that can't be fixed. That their mom and dad still loved them, but couldn't be married anymore. She asked if I'd really break up our family over this. I told her she'd already broken up our family the first time she slept with Paul. The pregnancy just made it impossible to hide. Jennifer moved out 2 weeks later, stayed with her sister while we navigated the divorce proceedings. She did terminate the pregnancy. I know because her sister told my brother, who told me. Part of me felt sad about that, about a potential life ended because of adult mistakes. But mostly, I felt relief. Relief that I wouldn't have to watch my wife raise another man's child, wouldn't have to explain to my kids why they had a sibling who looked nothing like our family. The divorce took 6 months. We split custody of our kids 50-50. They're adjusting, though it's hard. My son asked why we couldn't fix things, why adults give up so easily. I didn't know how to explain that some things can't be fixed, that trust once broken completely stays broken. My daughter cries sometimes, says she misses having both parents in one house. It kills me every time. But I remind myself, this isn't my fault. I didn't cheat. I didn't get pregnant by someone else. I didn't lie and scheme and prepare to deceive my entire family. I heard through mutual friends that Jennifer and Paul tried to make it work after the divorce, but it fell apart within weeks. Turns out, a relationship built on affair and ending in pregnancy scare doesn't have much foundation. Jennifer's alone now, living in a small apartment, seeing our kids every other week. I'm in our old house with the kids half the time, trying to rebuild some sense of normalcy in the rooms that used to hold our family. Sometimes I think about that Saturday morning, finding that pregnancy test in the trash. How one piece of plastic revealed everything. How my decision to get a vasectomy 2 years ago, meant to simplify our lives, became the evidence that exposed my wife's affair. If I hadn't been sterile, she might have passed that baby off as mine. I might have raised Paul's child never knowing the truth. The vasectomy saved me from that particular betrayal, even as it revealed a deeper one. My kids ask sometimes if Jennifer and I will ever get back together. I tell them no, that some things are permanent, like vasectomies, like broken trust, like the moment you realize the person sleeping next to you was capable of a deception so profound it would have rewritten your entire reality. I'm not angry anymore, just sad. Sad for what we had. Sad for what we lost. Sad that 2 pink lines on a test could end 12 years and destroy the family we built. But sometimes sadness is all that's left when betrayal burns everything else away.